Welcome to the Manager Matt Podcast Show. The show is designed to give you solutions to your day-to-day management and leadership problems. It's hosted by Matthew Haddock, a frontline manager and leader with over 25 years of experience. If you're ready, then let's get on with the show.
Hi and welcome to the Manager Matt Podcast Show. This show is designed to give you actionable and practical help and advice which will improve your management skills and get the best results you can. Make sure, if you can, please take the time to subscribe to the show so you'll never miss an episode and share it so somebody else could really enjoy the show. Well, without any more delays, let's get on with this week's show. So, motivation and job performance. That's a big subject to take on, I know, but Manager Matt never shies away from big subjects. So what is this? Well, of course, let's go back one more step before we talk about motivation and job performance. What are managers there for? Again, another massive topic. But basically, the role of any manager is to make sure their team are performing well to their abilities and making sure the jobs are getting done. So whenever you're thinking about being a leader, you've got to make sure that your team are delivering the results. They're performing and getting the things done. That's basically what we're there for. If everyone turned up and got everything done without us being there, you soon find that a lot of the management roles would start to change or probably disappear. But how do you do that? How do you structure a motivation and performance around? Well, there's a couple of ways of looking at it. Let's think of it in three simple ones. When you're talking about people at work, what motivates them? Well, there's a few things. Ability, so that's a main thing. Situational constraints, and of course the motivation themselves. So how do we get the best out of people is to get these three things working. Now let's start with the first one, ability. Well, ability is around knowledge, skills, talent. A lot of this is around formal training. So how do you get people trained when they're in your organisation to have those ideas of having a skill and a knowledge? Talent sometimes can be treated a little bit different, so people could be talented in a certain way. I don't know if I'm a big believer in natural talent, because I think no one naturally is talented at Excel, but you need a certain logical mind to work through it. But formal training's in there, especially if you've got a specialist job, the more training you need. Talent, as I said, is part of that ideal of, you get people in certain roles that are good at certain things. Let's say you had someone who was absolutely rubbish at the detail, didn't like doing it, then they'd be terrible at data entry. And it's same with someone who's really into the detail, they'd be terrible in an innovative, thinking, creative way. So there's always that to think of when you look at ability. Second part of what we're saying about this idea of motivation and driving people for good job performance is around situational awareness. Now, these are factors that are outside the control of the actual people themselves. These are the things that managers really should be excelling when it comes to it. So it's the idea of having a situational awareness around your team and thinking, what tools do they need? What funding? What training? If you haven't got the right tools for the job, don't matter how talented you are or how knowledgeable you are, you can't get the job done without them. Those lack of resources will soon compound to making sure that your team fail. And, as I said in the first statement, your job is to make them succeed. And if they fail, then, funny enough, you fail. So you need to make sure that you're the conduit of information between the shop floor and the team above you. You need to, as I've said it a couple of times, clear the field for them. Your job as a leader is to make sure you're getting everything in place to help it and make it as easy as those guys can to deliver. If you think about a sporting analogy, when you see them in the changing rooms, the kit's laid out, the drinks are there for them, so they've got everything they need to be able to do the job. They can focus on being out there and getting the work done, and that's exactly what you're doing as a leader. You're clearing the field, you're preparing the dressing room, and making it easier to make sure that the situational awareness is definitely ticked. Then it comes to the idea of motivation itself. What is the ability of you as the leader to motivate them? Now, motivation is an internal force. Whatever you think, you can't get inside them heads of their team and switch them into motivation mode. You can't do that. But what you can do is try to promote them to get there. And that's usually by, driving standards with them, making sure that they know where they're going, giving them some direction of where they're going to be, and looking at how you can persistently make sure that they're going in the right direction. It's an internal force, but the manager needs to know how to switch those forces on and off as a good leader to make sure they're there. And as a manager, you'll be held accountable for the overall performance of your team. So whatever you need to do around job performance, and if it is about ability, or the situational awareness or the motivation, if all them three are working in the same direction, you'll end up with a failure. Now, another part of this is what motivational toolkit do you have as a manager to help those people deliver? So, when you look at it, what can you do to help motivate your team? What things can you really work at to give your team members what they need? Some good areas, what people talk around is around, delegating the authority to the right level. So looking at that idea of right people, right time and right place, growing the people by using an idea of delegating them a little bit more, giving them and testing them with their new ideas. This helps the people expand their skills themselves and their know-how. They gain experience that helps them become more confident and competent, and hopefully expects that eventually the promotions will come. So you've got to identify the people who you're going to do this to, but you're looking at those people and try to delegate some of your work and some of your authority down to those guys, because in one way you're expressing faith and trust as a leader to that person, and people grow because they feel part of it and can really feel that they can get involved and be motivated to really deliver on their jobs. Recognition. Obviously, we all love people saying, well done, well-deserved pat on the back. I'm not meaning something that's not sincere. It has to be sincere praise and congratulations, because you don't want people just, making it as if they have to give out so many recognitions every day or week. That's not how we do it. Recognition really needs to be well-deserved. A pat on the back, you're exceeding the expectations. A lot of time people get annoyed with recognitions and recognition awards when they think it's something that they should just be doing as the job. The idea of this is when you're doing something above it, the best that this person can be, then they need to get recognised. And it's not, it can be the tangible, so it can be the money, but it can be the emotional or the thank you, which makes such a big difference and really does look at motivating. So again, just another motivational tool in your toolbox. Now, job enlargement is very much similar to the idea of delegation, but you're looking at employees' duties and authorities. Can you increase them? Can you help with training? Because there's always going to be training this for people to handle the bigger tasks. And they may get compensation for that. There may be some pay involved. Not a big deal, really, because if they're enlarging their involvement in the job, their scope's getting wider, that means that this idea of top-down management and managers knowing everything changes, so your employees are committed and want to support the cause itself. Now, you might not be able to give them the full pay pack, but I'm sure there's some way you can move things forward. And of course, it's not a direct promotion, but it does help that person get forward to the next level. And things like empowerment, even if you're not going to kind of give them anything, it's around having lower levels being influences and having the initiative to create and push the standards. So they're not just sat there waiting for people to tell them what to do. They're being given their empowerment and being able to push forward. And I try and do that in my team, so let them be empowered to make the decisions, to come to work, to be able to really contribute and understand where we're going to get to. And remember, if you've got a happy, motivated workforce, they do deliver the results. And that's what I said right at the beginning. The basic role of any manager is to make sure their teams are performing well at their jobs. And, of course, as a manager, you will be held accountable for anything of performance that's poor. So overall performance of your team will land on you. So, well, thanks for listening. And as always, I'm really keen to hear your thoughts on the show, both good and bad. So if you get a minute, please give me some feedback, as it's a gift. You can get it to managermattpodcast@gmail.com. Answer all my own emails. I would love to engage on new topics, or maybe revisit some old ones. One last thing, please apply what you've listened to today, because words are cheap and actions drive the world. Well, that's it for Manager Matt this week. Thanks for listening. Goodbye.
Thank you so much for listening to this Manager Matt podcast. We hope you found it interesting, helpful and actionable. One last thing, please leave a quick review on iTunes or with your podcast provider, as it helps to spread the word of Manager Matt. If you haven't already done so, please subscribe to the podcast. And if you did like anything in particular, send an email to managermattpodcast@gmail.com or visit managermatt.co.uk for more content. Feedback is a gift, so let's keep giving. See you next week.